In this digital short, I will give an informational video on vaping and electronic cigarettes among the youth and students. San Francisco, California is one of the many areas that is experiencing an increase in vaping among the youth, and this digital short will spread awareness to parents about students smoking under the age limit, vaping being normalized by students, and the possible health risks that come with smoking electronic cigarettes that involve Philip Morris International and San Francisco City County. How to tell if a teen is possibly vaping. This image shows what electronic cigarettes and vapes can look like. These objects can easily be mistaken for other objects such as a USB. This evidence shows that teens could be partaking in underage smoking if a parent sees one of these. This image shows a teen coughing. Coughing is one of the many signs that someone is possibly smoking. This sign could be used as evidence for parents to raise suspicion that their child could be potentially smoking. Nicotine is not good and affects teens in a bad way. The statement shows that vaping can impact students because of nicotine. Nicotine can cause students to lose focus, which impacts their ability to learn. As shown, vaping plays a role in whether a student does well in school or not. If a person is addicted to nicotine, it could be hard for them to quit. When people use nicotine to deal with unfortunate circumstances, it causes them to rely on nicotine because of how good it feels. Relying on nicotine can be bad as they will always crave for it. Nicotine can cause teens to become addicted to it. It's easy for the youth and teens to become addicted to nicotine as their brains are still developing. Since their brain is still developing, nicotine can affect a young person's mind more effectively. This will also cause them to become vulnerable to other drugs. The statistic shows the amount of students that have been reported being seen smoking electronic cigarettes during 2017 and 2018. Students are starting to become addicted to nicotine, which is prevalent especially among 12th graders. Some students even start as early as 8th grade to become addicted to nicotine. Vaping and electronic cigarette use among the youth can lead to smoking regular cigarettes in the future. This picture shows a young teen using a real cigarette instead of an electronic cigarette. Smoking actual cigarettes is worse than smoking an electronic cigarette, as regular cigarettes are linked to cancer. In the long run, smoking actual cigarettes will lead to health risks.
A lot of kids, of course, find it more socially acceptable to use them and somehow equate that with them being perfectly safe. They don't understand that these can be just as addictive in certain circumstances as smoking cigarettes. People who start using electronic cigarettes are more likely to go on to use other illicit drugs or to go on to smoke later in life.
It's proven that smoking electronic cigarettes is more likely to cause the user to smoke actual cigarettes in the future. Some students and teens are not aware of this effect that might come upon them. It could be too late, and some may not even realize that this happened to them. There are health risks that come with vaping and electronic cigarettes. This infographic shows the possible risks of vaping. Some of the possible effects are addiction, nausea, and chest pain. This supports the claim that vaping is dangerous and not healthy. This shows the other possible health effects of vaping. The possible effects would be tissue trauma, malignancies, and could be poisonous. This proves that there are negative effects to vaping. One of the causes for the increase in vaping is because students are at that point of life where they are exposed and wanting to try out new things. This picture shows underage teens drinking alcohol. This evidence shows that teens at a certain age will try out different things. Drinking is one of the many problems among teens these days. This image shows a teen contemplating doing drugs. Drugs among high school students is another issue that teens tend to try out. Evidence shows that teens will partake in new things, even if it's not good for them. Increases in vaping and smoking e-cigarettes is still a problem today and has even grown more over the past few years. The infographic shows statistics of recent vaping among high school students in the past year. The statistics show that vaping is an increasing problem in schools. The image can be used as evidence to show that vaping is increasing among the youth. This graph shows the amount of current tobacco use among students in high school. According to the graph, an increase in electronic cigarette smoking has increased over the past few years. The graph shows that it is still an increasing rate. Philip Morris International has an ideology of having a smoke-free future. The image shows a quote from a chief executive officer saying that they envision a smoke-free future. This evidence shows that Philip Morris International is against smoking and will take actions to get towards that smoke-free future. This image can also apply to youth smokers.
If we stopped selling cigarettes today, the impact we'd have on the number of smokers is very small. They would just buy another brand and continue smoking. More importantly than why don't we stop today is what are we doing to move away from being a cigarette company in the future. What we're looking at doing is truly replacing our own cigarettes with new products, giving them alternatives to help them switch away. And ultimately, we are a company, so you need to be able to actively move in the direction where you want to go. And I think it's important for people not to just look at where we are today, but look at the evolution over time. How does it change? How many cigarette smokers of our brands are no longer using cigarettes and switching away? And what are we putting our money to? Is our research on providing better alternatives or continuing to sell the combustible product? And these are really the KPIs that will help people understand the future of this organization is a smoke-free future and not continuing to sell these products.
Philip Morris International goes over why they still sell cigarettes even though they envision a smoke-free future. One of the reasons is that people will just buy another brand and continue to smoke anyway. PMI's goal is to create an alternative for people that are already currently smoking. PMI's products are not made for underage smokers such as students in high school. A typical habitat for the smoker would be a community that participates in smoking as a recreational hobby. The image shows two teens participating in underage smoking. This can be used as evidence that teens do partake in underage smoking. Underage smokers can hang out with other people that have similar interests to smoking. This image shows a high school student using an electronic cigarette in the school's bathrooms. This is a common place for students to vape at. This shows that students do vape at school. Thank you for listening, and here are my works cited slides for all the pictures and videos that I use in this digital short.